It detonated a little before 4 in the morning. Their apparent target was the Reserve Officers Training Corps. Though no one was injured, the damages were significant. In response to the attack, Morris canceled Carmichael's invitation. Students protested Morris's decision as unfair.
We have to live by rules made by people 30 years older than we are. Because of its separate existence and the age gap, the administration is incompetent to deal with the situation. Ray Lindsay, Student Body President.
During the day, no less than 3 bomb threats were called in. That night, a crowd of more than 200 black and white students gathered at Morris's office for a sit-in. 7 or 8 managed to break in before riot police responded and restored order. In all, 7 were expelled. Because they were all black, Morris was branded a racist.
What happened to the whites that were in the protest? Were the uniformed guards blinded in one eye? Or were your guards and police instructed to get only the Negroes? A very much concerned parent.
With finals and summer vacation fast approaching, tensions slowly died down. By the next year, the social sciences building had fallen behind schedule, and Morris was all the while bedeviled by demonstrations. In one incident, they targeted his home. More than 1,000 students sat on his front lawn, demanding equal treatment for women and greater rights for all students. Though they were peaceful, the riot police were again called as a precaution. This time, however, the students dispersed with no damage done. Then, Old Main burned. The fire had apparently been set on purpose. On a chalkboard, someone scrawled a message, "Piss on Old Main. Old Main is burning." Some would later accuse radical leftists. Others suspected right-wingers, comparing Old Main to the Reichstag fire. If it was arson, the perpetrator was never caught. A few weeks after, Morris received a letter from the State Department. It authorized a grant of $1 million for a Vietnamese Studies Center at SIU. He believed strongly in international outreach and took a special interest in Vietnam. Several years earlier, he had even visited the country as part of a 3-month worldwide tour. There he inspected SIU's outreach operations, and on at least one occasion met with General William Westmoreland, who had commanded military operations there for 4 years. Morris believed Vietnam was misunderstood, and jumped at the chance to establish a Vietnamese Studies Center at SIU. Ostensibly, the center's purpose was to provide education on Vietnamese culture and language, but it was also intended to provide training for post-war reconstruction. The fact that a center had a 5-year contract darkly hinted at the extent of America's commitment to the region.
The contract for the Center for Vietnamese Studies and Programs is an educational bastard, fathered by administrative arrogance and conceived of academic incompetence. The retention of a center that lacks academic respectability and which promises, at best, to be the handmaiden of dictatorship is not worth it. C. Harvey Gardner, Research Professor of History.
If one controversy weren't enough, Morris soon had another on his hands. After the destruction of Old Main, the design of the Social Sciences building had to be altered yet again, this time to make up for the lost class space. An additional section was added, increasing its size by nearly a third. But there was a problem. President Morse's home sat on the ground where the new section would be built. To solve the problem, the Board of Trustees stepped up construction on a new home to be built on the outskirts of campus. Soon, however, rumors began to circulate about the home's cost. The local paper reported a final cost of more than $200,000. In reality, the total was nearly $1 million. To solve the problem, Morse accepted a $1 million donation from W. Clement Stone, a Chicago philanthropist who had also given several $1 million to the Nixon campaign and to other Republican causes.
But we all have our frailties, don't we? How dare we think that old Devious Delight, no relation to Tricky Dick, wouldn't get himself out of this mess? Sure, you need the guest house for the watermelon feast, and for important dignitaries such as W. Clement Stone. I mean, you can't expect your pals to extricate you from the next mess if all they can look forward to on their visits is anything like your present shack. Yeah, I see it all now. Roy Pearson, sophomore, finance.
Despite the twin controversies, the next academic year was quieter, though not uneventful. In the fall, silent screen legend Lillian Gish spoke at the freshman convocation. In January 1970, Abby Hoffman of the Chicago 7 appeared before an enthralled crowd. The same month, a group of students tried to break into Woody Hall, home of the Vietnamese Studies Center. Meanwhile, the building committee continued to make changes to the Social Sciences Hall. The memories of the 1968 riots, the agriculture bombing, and the burning of Old Main was still fresh in their minds. They debated reducing the amount of glass in the new building. Questions of safety and crowd control became top priority. It is important that extinguishers be located in a readily convenient place. It is most important to have the extinguishers in a clear view and readily available in a panicking crowd.
Floor, the approach to stair number 11 are cramped into a small alcove, creating an excellent arrangement for a bottleneck in emergency.
It is recommended that a smoke detector be added to each of the 4 primary exit stairways. Oliver K. Halderson, May 7th, 1970.